All right, everyone, a big announcement yesterday. The Biden administration kind of wising up. We'll get into the nuance here because it's not really him wising up. It's a political stunt more than anything else. But as far as optically speaking, makes sense. Slapping a big tariff, actually, on electric vehicles, lithium, aluminum, and more from China. This is good. It's a Trump policy, I would point out, slapping tariffs on China. A few years ago, Joe Biden was berating Donald Trump for doing that, saying, well, come on, man, these tariffs ain't going to hurt the Chinese. They're going to hurt U.S. manufacturers. Interesting, because you're doing exactly the same thing that you said that Trump shouldn't do. That's number one. Number two, though, it's a defanged tariff. And here's the problem. Unlike the more direct tariffs that Trump imposed on China. He went into a minor trade war with them. There was a bit of a tit for tat. Some Chinese tariffs on the U.S. and its products were removed. The U.S. backed off on some of the additional tariffs there. It balanced trade more. It was a good idea. I believe completely in free trade. If you're trading with another nation and they're not playing the same game, though, it's stupid trade. It's no longer free trade. It's one directional. You have a free trade policy towards them, but they don't have a free trade policy towards you. That really things should be bilateral in that sense when a trade agreement is made at all, if there's going to be government oversight at all. In my opinion, should be all mercantile in nature. We should have a merchant sort of system in which people can just trade and travel as they want, and if another country is raising problems, then and only then should the U.S. government step in and try to equalize things through diplomacy first. That's the big thing. use the carrot before the stick. Say, hey, come on, man, you're slapping a 10% tariff on this component that we're selling you, then using that effectively subsidized material and then shipping it back, and we're not tariffing you, so what gives? First, diplomacy and good relations should blossom, and then if that doesn't work, then you try to equalize it. You say, okay, well, we've been nice to you. We've given you 6 months to ponder it. You haven't done anything, so now we're slapping a tariff on your goods. We're going to equalize, we're going to make the notes equal so that you can't fuck around with us. Hopefully then saner heads prevail and everyone backs down and the tariffs go away because that's the right thing to do. His tariff system here, though, is remarkably weak. See, here's the problem. China now, if it sells an electric vehicle in the United States, is going to be subject to a high tariff because they underpay their workers. They don't spend a lot of money on environmental protection, workers' protection. That's basically absent. And there's a reason why there are suicide nets around the Apple factory there for all of you hipsters out there with your demented and dumbed down products with the the blunted corners so that you don't accidentally hurt yourself with your crapple phone. There's a reason for that. China's capable of producing things more cheaply, both in terms of an absolute numeric number and in terms of the purchasing power of its own population. It underpays its workers, generally speaking. The workers' protections in China are scant compared to the West. Regulatory system is beefy, but it's often overlooked. Here's the way that China's mixed model economy works. Here's how they achieve this. You have a very free market in China if you play nice with the authoritarian regime and do what they fucking tell you. As long as you do that, you can rape your workers, you can kill your workers, you can feed them starvation wages, you can skirt environmental law, and all you need to do is make sure not to do it too much so that it doesn't attract too much attention and cause a protest, because Chinese government doesn't like that, and you pay off some local and regional officials. For pennies on the dollar, you can make your products much more cheaply and export them wherever and make a monumental amount of money. Biden's tariff situation here, though, doesn't make sense. Here's what will end up happening. China will say, well, if I sell an electric vehicle direct into the United States, it's not going to undercut the competition. Nobody for roughly the same price is going to choose and opt into the Chinese electric vehicle over the US-made electric vehicle. If the price is similar, they're going to associate US-made or European-made or something with prestige, number one, and with reliability, number two, something you don't typically associate with Chinese products. But I think I've got a workaround. Hey, we'll use a subsidy here on these companies, make AVs or these raw materials, lithium, aluminum, etc., and we'll ship them to Mexico. Well, they're no longer Chinese products. The Mexicans bought them. Now they can enter them into the U.S. market at a slight markup. We're still undercutting the market, not by as much as before, but we're undercutting it and avoiding the tariff, and then it enters the U.S. market anyway. We've got our money. We take a very slight loss on that in order to, we're basically paying the Mexican government in order to bypass a 50% tariff, which raises the existing tariff to basically 100%, by the way, or a little bit more. And then the Mexicans make some money. We establish better trade relations with Mexico. The cars still enter the U.S. market, giving us a foothold. That's what'll happen. What about with lithium or something like that? Like, you're not capable of shipping it to a third-party nation before it's shipped into the United States at a very slight markup? If I have to choose between a 100% tariff and taking a 10% cut on profits and simply subsidize that business to stay in the U.S. market, I'm going to do the latter. It's economically speaking, it's much more efficient. It makes more sense. It makes me money. It helps establish better economic relations with a nation right on the doorstep of the United States. This will backfire. It's a bad idea. What we need to do is return to Trumponomics and scrap Bidenomics. Bidenomics, in this sense, is really nothing more than keeping up appearances. Biden realized that the basic premise is a good idea. And so he adopted Trump's idea, watered it down, and fronts it as though it was his own idea. It's sort of like with the Afghanistan withdrawal deal. Donald Trump authored the withdrawal. It was a trilateral agreement between the United States, the Afghan government, and the Taliban, attendant also to tribal leaders that wield disproportionate power in much of Afghanistan. The need to withdraw from Afghanistan was clear. The need to have an agreement was clear. The need to have the time to bolster the Afghan government was clear. The deal would have gone through without a hitch because of the cultural ways of Afghanistan, the Pashtun culture mainly, in which you make an agreement, you stick to it. The tribal warlords never would have joined the Taliban in their push for Kabul if it weren't for the fact that Biden then said, hey, I can't let Trump take credit for getting us out of Afghanistan, America's longest war, other than the Korean War, which technically is still not over. I can't do that. It'd look good for Trump. It'd make me look feckless and weak. Not that you don't on a daily basis anyway, Joe. I'll move the date back. And silently, I'll talk to the Afghan leadership and say, look, I know things are all fucked up, but just put on a brave face, and we'll get a little bit longer time period and we'll fix things. And then they never fix them. It was an example of Joe Biden trying to take credit for a successful Trump policy and ruining it in the process. It's the same here. This is basically a Trump tariff style, but it's watered down and can be easily circumvented. And so it won't do anything at the end of the day. We'll still have Chinese lithium and Chinese aluminum and Chinese EVs on the road, and we don't need any electric vehicles except for short haul. What we should be doing is reforming the rules related to automotive safety so we can have something equivalent to Bromobilen. Those over in the Netherlands, they have basically subcompact cars that are generally electrically powered. They have like a moped engine. Highly efficient for short haul. It's great. It's efficient. It's cheap. It makes sense for people who live in a city. If you're in New York, LA or something, having something like that, you would decongest the roads. You would raise efficiency. Perfectly fine. In a compact, relatively flat area, absolutely those will do just as well as any normal consumer car for half the price. They don't translate well to long-haul trucking. They're trying to force them into making electrically powered big rig trucks, which makes absolutely no sense at all. Yeah, I can go 300 miles, then I have to fuel up for a night. Then go another 300 miles, fuel up for the night. It's bullshit. It makes no sense. It's NIMBYism. It's all predicated on the climate mythology more than anything else. Biden has stolen Trump's idea, but somehow even an idea that works, that is good fundamentally. A good idea is to try to balance tariffs out in order to make more free trade with China and with other adversarial countries. But he managed to defang it. He took the Trump-era idea, watered it down, and then proposed it, and it's not going to do anything in the end. It's literally just political posturing to make it look like Joe Biden's going to be tough on China. If you re-elect me, ma'am, I'm going to go after them Chi-Coms. No, you're not. This isn't going to do anything. They'll just circumvent it. They'll use Mexico, and then you'll inadvertently be drawing a country with an extensive land border on our border further into the eastern sphere. We desperately need Trump back. He was able to deal with Obrador. They seem to be relatively friendly. Again, odd since supposedly Trump hates Mexicans. That's about all. Peace out.